What is going on, everyone? It's Eric coming at you from just outside of Hartford, Connecticut. And today we're going to look at our second division here of the 2021 NHL recap. We're going to look at the North here. So without further ado, we'll jump right in. And the first team we're going to discuss is the North winning Toronto Maple Leafs, who went 35-14-7, which was good for 77 points. Now, unfortunately, Toronto is becoming a meme. They always play extremely well in the regular season, as evidenced by their 77 points, but they always forget how to play hockey when the playoffs start. Now, Toronto ranked as a top 10 team with goals scored and goals against, so this was a strong offense and a strong defense. Now, this was despite the poor play of Frederik Andersen. Mitch Marner, of all people, led the Leafs in points with 67. Now, Austin Matthews finished 1 point behind him, but he had 41 goals. So he was very good, stellar as always. The Maple Leafs' biggest flaw, though, is in their lower lines. Now, they have big names in their top lines, but they always seem to struggle when their third or fourth lines are on the ice. Now, I mentioned that Frederik Andersen was struggling. Jack Campbell stepped up big time when his name was called on. And he looks like he could be the Maple Leafs goaltender for the next year or so. William Nylander, he led the team in playoff points with 8, as the team blew a 3-1 series lead in round 1 to the Canadiens. Now, the one thing I do want to point out is if this was Joe Thornton's last season playing in the league, it's a shame that this is how he goes out. Now, it should also be noted that Jack Campbell did start all 7 games for the Maple Leafs in the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do, how they look to rebuild this year. They're going to, of course, probably be losing some pieces. We don't know who they're going to lose in the expansion draft, but they have a lot of talent. They might need to figure out what they're doing with their bottom lines, because Montreal exposed them. Montreal showed that if you can play strong defense against them, if you frustrate their bottom lines, you're going to win. Now, in second place, we had the Edmonton Oilers, who went 35-19-2, which was good for 72 points. Now, the Oilers had a strong year. They finished top 10 in both offense and defense, just like the Maple Leafs did. Now, this was without their top defenseman, Oscar Klefbom, who missed the entire season due to a shoulder injury. Now, Connor McDavid did what Connor McDavid does, and he made every team he went up against look silly. He led the league in points with ease with 105. Leon Draisaitl finished second with 85 points. Now, Tyson Barrie and Darnell Nurse each provided strong production from the blue line as well. Mike Smith, he played out of his mind this year. He looked like he was 28, not 38. That's how good he was playing. Surprisingly, the Oilers were swept out of the playoffs by the Winnipeg Jets. Now, Draisaitl led the team in postseason scoring with 5, while McDavid had 4. So Connor McDavid, with his performance in the regular season, won the Hart Memorial Trophy as the league's MVP, and he won the Ted Lindsay Award as the league's most outstanding player. So at this point, Edmonton is just frustrating everybody with how they continuously fall out of the playoffs with McDavid being this good. Now Draisaitl is amazing, and they just keep struggling in the playoffs. It's disappointing. It's really just disgusting at this point. Next, we have the Winnipeg Jets, who went 30-23-3, which was good for 63 points and third in the North. Now, Winnipeg, they had a solid season. And I'll admit it, this is a team that I constantly overlook time and time again. And I overlooked them coming into the season. I overlooked them coming into the playoffs. I'm going to have to keep an eye on Winnipeg from here on out. This is a team that, if you're a Jets fan, I apologize. I keep overlooking you guys. And I don't know why. You guys just keep proving me wrong. So, they finished as the 12th ranked offense and the 9th ranked defense. So you can tell the North had a lot of strong defenses. Could that be because the North just doesn't have a lot of offense? I'll let you be the judge of that. Now, Mark Scheifele led the team in scoring with 63 points. Now, Nikolai Ehlers, he looked great when he was healthy and on the ice, but he missed the end of the regular season, and the Jets really just kind of fell off when he was not playing. They really struggled at the end of the regular season. Going into the playoffs, they were doing good, but a lot of people had them as a quick out just because they were slumping going into the playoffs. Now, unfortunately for them, Pierre-Luc Dubois only managed 8 goals and 12 assists, so 20 points over 41 games. Now, at least Connor Hellebuyck, he had himself a good season, extremely underrated season. Now, in the playoffs, the Jets did manage to sweep the Oilers, like I said before, as they kept McDavid in check. But they themselves would become victims of a sweep at the hands of the Canadiens. Kyle Connor led the team in postseason points with 7, while Hellebuck, he played even better than in the regular season. Despite his performance, though, the team was unable to advance into the, semifinals all said and done. So in fourth place, we had the Montreal Canadiens, who went 24, 21, and 11, which was good for 59 points. And the Canadiens were an extremely streaky team this year. They started off the year very good, red hot, but they cooled off so much so that they got their coach, Claude Julien, fired. We'll get to that in a second. Then, when all seemed lost, they got hot at the right time, snuck into the playoffs as the 4 seed. They ended the year ranked 17th on offense and 18th on defense. Now, Tyler Toffoli had a solid season, and he led the team in points with 44. Veteran Jeff Petrie with 42, and youngster Nick Suzuki with 41. Each tallied 40-plus points. Now, Carey Price missed a decent portion of time due to an injury, and Jake Allen, their backup, stepped up when he was needed. In the playoffs, Montreal was considered by many to be the worst team to qualify. Most playoff power rankings had them ranked 16th. So, as you know, the playoffs are a completely different animal. Montreal looked poised to prove them right as they fell down 3-1 in the first round to the Toronto Maple Leafs. But, just like they had in the past, they caught fire. They won the next 3 games, went on to knock out the Maple Leafs, then they swept the Jets, and then they took out the Golden Knights 4-2 in another surprising series. Now, shortly after that, they would make it to the Stanley Cup, where they would unfortunately fall to the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-1. Still, in the playoffs, Nick Suzuki would lead the team with postseason scoring with 16 points. Carey Price played very well over the postseason, but unfortunately, the defense let him down as we got to the Stanley Cup Finals. Now, the Canadiens' coaching situation is very interesting. Like I said before, Claude Julien was fired in late February of the year. And Dominique Ducharme, he was named the interim coach, and he helped guide the team to the Stanley Cup Finals. As of right now, when I'm recording this, they do not have an official coach, but I don't think it's going to be anyone but Ducharme. It just wouldn't make sense if they get rid of him after he led the team to the Stanley Cup. That's my opinion. That's all I got to say. As for injuries, it also should be noted that Shea Weber missed a large chunk at the end of the regular season due to an injury, and then he was playing through a thumb injury in the regular season, so yeah. Next, we have the Calgary Flames, who went 26-27-3, which was good for 55 points. In Calgary, they had yet another disappointing season. This year may be the worst yet, though, as the team made plenty of moves prior to the season with the hopes of making a run. They failed. To add insult to injury, a player who they traded away, Sam Bennett, seemed to blossom once he left Calgary. It makes you think. They finished as a below-average offense and the absolute average defense, 16th out of 31. Johnny Gaudreau led the team in points with 49. And Jacob Markstrom, who was one of their big free agent signings, was nothing special in between the pipes. Sam Bennett, like I said, struggled in Calgary before being traded, and Sean Monahan only managed 28 points in 50 games. The vast majority of this team just underachieved, which was unfortunate if you were a Calgary fan. Next, we have the Ottawa Senators, who went 23-28-5, which was good for 51 points. Now, Ottawa, they took a big step forward this year with their development. Now, while the team itself didn't play well, they finished with a bottom 5 defense. The offense, it was respectable. They finished 19th, which is still in the bottom half of the league, but it's a very young, talented team. Brady Tkachuk, with 36 points, led the team in scoring. Connor Brown, with 35, Joshua Norris, with 35, and Drake Batherson, with 34, were up there with them. Tim Stützle, with 29 points, also had a strong rookie season. It should be noted that of those 5 players, only Brown is older than 22. Ottawa had acquired Matt Murray before the season began to serve as their goaltender, but he was not good. He ended the year with an .893 save percentage and a 3.38 goals against average. Philip Gustafsson, he looks great in his 9 appearances as a goalie for Ottawa. He's young. He might be the goalie of the future. Of course, 9 appearances. I'm not here making bold statements like that. Lastly, we have the Vancouver Canucks, who went 23-29-4, which was good for 50 points. Now, the Canucks were one of the bigger disappointments in the NHL this year. However, an outbreak of a certain illness held them out of action for a while and left them with an extremely condensed schedule near the end of the season. So, you have to wonder if they had a regular season and that wouldn't have happened, maybe they would have done better. We'll never know, unfortunately. Now, they did finish the year with a bottom 10 team on offense and defense, which is never good. And Elias Pettersson, he only played in 26 games this year. He did finish with 21 points, though, so that's something. That was good for 6th on the team. Brock Bosner, he led the team in points with 49. Now, Thatcher Demko had a strong year as the starter for the Canucks, while Braden Holtby was a below-average player as his backup. So, how did I predict the North was going to look in my original prediction video? I had Toronto winning the division. I had Edmonton in second. Okay, I had Montreal in third. That's acceptable, you know. They finished 1, 2, and 4 respectively. I had Calgary in fourth. I had Ottawa in fifth, Winnipeg in sixth, and Vancouver in seventh. So, I mean, I was probably too low on Vancouver. In hindsight, I probably should have had them higher, but I look better by saying they were seventh. I got that one right. Again, if you're a Winnipeg fan, I apologize. I'm going to have to do more research on you guys in the future. I don't know why I had you as the 6th ranked team. I should have had you above Ottawa. I should have had you probably as the 4th team, too, above Calgary. But, yeah. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was the recap of the North Division of the 2021 NHL season. Have a good rest of your day.